and welcome to a new video. You see the space behind me, it's pretty empty because I'm in the middle of shifting houses. I finally have a base now. I'm living in Beed, Himachal. I have rented a home here and it's for the first time that I'm living alone as a 29-year-old. Maybe it's a little late to experience this in life, but late is something that you decide, and since I'm deciding, it's okay. Anyway, not to digress, this video, I could not wait for myself to set this space entirely up and then make a video because this has a very important message specifically for the women watching this video. And even if you are not a woman, I feel like it will help you have better relations with the women in your life after understanding a few things from this video. Everything I'm going to talk about is coming from some of the other personal experience that I've had on my own, and I feel like it took me almost 30 years to realize a lot of lies. There are ridiculous amount of lies that we as women have been told and are still told, and through this video I want to share each one of them. I want to share at least the top ones that I feel should not be there, should just not exist, and what we as women can also do about it just to live our best lives. Lie number one: you need approval for everything, or approval paralysis that a lot of us women have. Now, I'm a millennial and this could be relatable. Have you seen during your childhood, maybe you might have noticed that the male figures in your family were the key decision makers, and so many times our mom would be like, but मैं पापा से पूछ के बताऊंगी, कोई permission लेनी होती थी, या so many things. It somehow made us believe that the male figures, they have the authority to take decisions, and we always need to seek approval for the big things and the small ones. And I didn't even realize I was being a victim to this until first two of my relationships. I remembered giving so much importance to the opinion of my partner. It's great to keep your partner in loop, I'm not against that, but seeking their approval and believing that they may know something more than you about your own life, that's just bizarre to me. So after those relationships, I realized the grave mistake that I was making, and you know your life the best, right? So be it going for a solo trip, or just starting to travel solo in general, or now living alone, or starting a company, or doing group trips, or making content or whatnot, I have now stopped taking anybody's permission for any of these things, because you should not be required to. So as women, if you feel that you constantly need approval for that business idea, for that, it's great to seek guidance, but the final decision should depend on you. And for that, you have to create some reliance on yourself, and you have to create some trust that yes, you can do it. And how will it happen? It will only happen when you start taking smaller decisions by yourself without approval, and that's how you build trust on your own self. In fact, I know a few people who on reels on Instagram would appear to be really open-minded and would share these philosophies and stuff like that, but in their real life might not even give the woman in their own life to the freedom to decide whether they want to keep their own surname after getting married. Can you believe that? So what I'm essentially trying to say is that society includes even people close to you, will always benefit from women being weak. They will always be more comfortable. Sometimes your own partner can get insecure of your independence or your freedom. Sometimes your closest friends, your family member, you never know. You have to step up for yourself, and you have to realize that people will benefit if you're weak. People will benefit if you keep seeking approval. So stop doing that. Please start living for your own self. Decisions like where to live, who to marry, who to date, whether to have or not have kids, these are big decisions. And of course, a lot of big decisions require to be taken with people who are also involved in it. What I'm trying to tell you is that this coming week, try every time you see yourself asking for something, like asking approval for a small decision in your life, stop right there and don't do it, and just trust your gut and take that decision. Start with small decisions so there's nothing to lose, even if you end up going wrong, and you never know, somebody else's decision might also go wrong, right? So that's the action point for you with this lie. Let's move on to the next one. Now this one's my favorite, the good girl syndrome, and that as a woman you need to be liked by everyone, be it your parents, your teachers, your friends, your in-laws in the future, or whoever you might come across, right? Have you observed that mostly the women around you are at some level people pleasers? Like, I hate to say this, but I've seen this in India and I've seen this in my own household as well, that women were at least raised in a way to make them really like a good package to eventually get them married. It doesn't sound good. Honestly, in my own, I don't even know how to frame this sentence, but women are conditioned in a way that you have to be liked by people in the future or now. No, that's not true. That's far from true. In fact, it's great if you're disliked by certain people. That means you stand up for something. I read this amazing book and I recommend this book to all people pleasers, no matter what gender you are. The Courage to be Disliked has such great examples, philosophy, psychology behind people pleasing and stuff like that. And you genuinely end up realizing that true happiness is when you have the courage to be disliked and when you're not pleasing other people and when you're truly living for your own self. And I'm not just saying all this gyan. I'm sure you already know this. I'm saying this is one of my favorite lies because I have been a big victim of this. As a school kid, I was one of those topper kids who used to get good marks, who used to get their dopamine from seeing their parents happy at parent-teachers meeting because wow, they did something so well. I did chartered accountancy. Of course, it was completely my own decision, but I feel like, because it was sort of considered prestigious, and little decisions, small decisions and big decisions in my life kind of conveys me that I have lived with this good girl syndrome my entire life almost. In fact, in this movie called Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, I used to relate so much with Naina Talwar and people used to even call me that, and I used to be okay with it until I realized how problematic that could be. So once you get rid of that, and the action point that I want you to take away from this video for this point specifically, one, please read the book The Courage to be Disliked. It can change your life. And secondly, try to set some boundaries. So this week, when you find yourself saying yes to something that you genuinely don't want to, like maybe you don't want to go with that friend for shopping, or maybe you don't want to say yes to your partner for going out for a meal or whatever, just say no. Just say what you genuinely feel like. Do it for a day, do it for 2 days, do it for a week straight, and you will see the difference yourself. The next lie, and the most ridiculous one, ambitious women are intimidating. I don't know about you, but I have heard this line in my own family, or even like close relatives, family and all, that if you are too successful or if you're doing too good for yourself in life, it'll be hard to find a boy to get married to. How ridiculous is it that just to be able to fit into somebody else's expectations, you downplay your own achievements? I remember reading this article long back when I was in school. This was on Indra Nui, and the title said, feeling guilty at home for being successful at work. Because that's how Indra Nui used to feel, right? It's amazing to me how even sometimes families would leave no opportunity to belittle you and to make you feel as if you're being too successful at work, you're being a bad partner or a bad mother or a bad person in your own family. Oh my God. In my own example, I remember when I was quitting my job to travel full time, to do travel vlogging, something good that one is supposed to be doing for themselves. From a relative, I hear this line, but लड़के वालों को क्या बोलेंगे कि लड़की घूमती है अकेले? Who cares लड़के वाले क्या सोचते हैं? I mean, you're not living your life for some random लड़के वाले that have not even entered your life yet. And it's okay. This is not a hate on the relative or on any generation, because I do understand where they come from, but times have changed. That's exactly my point. Times have changed. Women are today financially independent, very important to be that, and have the right to make their own decisions of whether they want to travel, whether they want to even get married, have kids, whatever. They should have the freedom to choose each one of those things. So anytime someone tells you you're too much, just know that they're too little to handle you. And the action points that I want you to remember for this point is that please don't downplay your achievements just to satisfy somebody else's ego or insecurity. Be happy about your success and be financially independent. Genuinely being financially independent gives you the right to say no to things you don't want in life in general, and just to live life that genuinely feels true to you. Lie number 4. Women take other women down. Oh my God. Again, this is something that society benefits from. Society loves to put women against each other. And I can tell you from personal experiences, at least today, if we as women don't stand up for each other, firstly, honestly, nobody will. Not our partners, not our male friends, nobody. And I have this privilege of having some amazing female friendships in life. Some from even my 7th standard, which is like 2007, which is almost 20 years. And I am also very privileged even to have adult female friendships that I'm starting to have now when I'm starting to live alone, or even friends from Instagram who I've traveled with and who have changed my life in so many ways. Honestly, when you have healthy female relationships where you can openly talk about your feelings, your relationships, your health, your tasty and healthy food recipes, your investments, your business ideas and everything, they end up giving you the best advice as well. Recently, I hosted a group trip where 14 girls traveled together, stayed in one villa for 4 nights, and like I can't begin to tell you, recently I've launched this new venture called On Your Wish List. The plan was to host a lot of group trips, like all women, all gender, purpose-driven travel. But when I hosted this one all-girls group trip and I saw the kind of impact that women can bring to other women's lives, I decided to host the next trip also as all women's. And for now, that's the plan. I'm gonna host more all women's trips. So this would be a good time to tell you that in the description below, I will put the handle of my second Instagram page where all the updates are generally there. If you want to come join one of those trips, you're most welcome to. I'm gonna leave the handle over there. But my point is that even on that trip, there was a vision board making session, okay? There was one girl whose vision or whose aim or goal was to get a job at Google, and somebody who knew somebody at Google. And she was like, oh, you want a job at Google? I can connect you with someone relevant. And those kind of synergies were there. People were genuinely helping each other. In fact, even till date, our WhatsApp group is active. It's been 2 months of that trip. We do a monthly catch-up call, and even today on that WhatsApp group, it's always buzzing with messages about outfits, about a new treasure hunt that we went to, or a new habit we've picked up, or a new book we are reading, or a tasty and healthy recipe that we are trying, or just things like so many things. So female friendships are so special, and please don't believe people when they say that, oh, ladki hi dusri ladki ki dushman hoti hai. All of that is just filmy nonsense drama we used to see in films, and I don't know who started all that. But please, if you have quality female friendships, maintain them or create more friendships. They are magic. Lie number 5, actually a couple of lies on this topic. Women need to settle down by a certain age, or if you're single as a woman, especially in your 30s, there is something wrong with you. Or how motherhood is the ultimate purpose for every woman, or marriage is the ultimate destination for women. Actually, in general, this could be a lie for like marriage being the ultimate destination. We've seen that, we've heard that, no matter what gender you are. But what? I mean, okay, don't get me wrong, I absolutely believe in the institution of marriage. I would myself love to get married someday to someone when I find someone who also aligns with my core values. But until then, what is all this pressure of settling down and all? I feel like today, settle down is just a fancy word for compromise. And why should one compromise in their life when they're honestly already living their best life? And especially like settle down by a certain age, I totally get the point of biological clock, and thankfully now we have options of freezing our egg if we want to conceive in the future and yet not get married right now. We have so many options. But the concept of settling down by a certain age, that's just absurd. There's no logic behind it. I feel that a lot of times I have seen this narrative going around that if you don't find someone by the time you're say 35, you will eventually not find someone. I feel the reason behind that is that maybe by that age you start enjoying your single life, or maybe you become this person who has so much reliance on themselves and they absolutely enjoy the way they're living. Maybe they would never even want to be with someone. Maybe that's the precise reason that after a certain age you don't even want to get married. It's not that you can't find someone. I'm not sure, but that's just something I feel. Today, when women have financial independence, they should also have the right to decide if they want to get married, or who they want to get married to, or if they want to have kids, or the way that they want to have kids. All the decisions they should be entitled to make 100%. Lie number 6, and I feel like every woman hears this one at some or the other point in their lives, and that is that you are too emotional or too sensitive. I feel like being too emotional, too sensitive, or too empathetic, which a lot of women are, is actually a superpower and not a weakness. Because now that empathy will come out in your work, will also come out when, say, you're running a business and you want to keep your employees happy. We're not talking about people pleasing, we're talking about empathy, we're talking about being sensitive towards others. And when did it become a bad thing? It's amazing. If somebody tells you that, please tell them that is my superpower. And be it work, be it relationships, it helps you understand people better. That can help you in all walks of life. This is something that I have personally seen, because I'm also an inherently emotional and sensitive person. I tend to break down easily, but I feel like those things are just helping me live life, write stuff, or just empathizing with people. that's a good thing. Okay, the final lie, and this makes the chartered accountant in me so angry, that women are bad with finances. Says who and on what basis? If there's a woman who is not handling their finances well, it's only because they might not be aware of a certain things. You remember how our mothers who are homemakers or homemakers in general, they're so good at multitasking, so good at handling their children's tantrums. Even वो तिजोरी में जो gold रखा होता है, वो हम जो movies में देखते हैं, a lot of our mothers handle all of that stuff. And when you give them a certain amount, for example, in the month, the way they do budgeting, like I see my own mother is so good with finances. She's a homemaker, and the amount that she has for a month for say groceries or whatever needs, the way she spends it is amazing. It's inspiring. There's so much to learn from that. So the only reason when you feel that women might be bad with finances, it actually goes back to my first point where I talked about the approval paralysis, because we have always seen our fathers or the male figures in our family making decisions, right? Big decisions, and money decisions also fall into that category, which is why women have always been scared to take those money decisions by themselves. Not that they're bad at it, like give them the freedom to take decisions and give them the proper knowledge, and you will see the kind of multitasking that women can do with money also, the way that they can handle it, it's amazing. So honestly, having financial discipline in your life has nothing to do with your gender, but everything to do with how free you feel to be making those decisions, or how aware you are of everything that's going on. If you're a woman watching this, I really want to, as an action point, I really want to tell you, firstly, please try to get financially independent, because that is a road towards freedom in life in general and to happiness, at least in my humble opinion. Strive for that, and then when you do have your own finances, please take guidance. Of course, take guidance from videos, from people, from books, everywhere. There's so much of it. Please try to handle your own finances. Don't give it to somebody in your some male figure in your family because you feel they'll handle it better. You can take guidance from them, but make sure that the eventual decision is yours. And you know, if you're investing, whichever app you're using, it's something that you are yourself doing. SIPs हैं तो आपको पता है month में इतना जा रहा है, like you're aware of what's happening and you yourself are doing it. Everything I've shared is coming from some or the other personal experience in my own life. I genuinely don't believe in just randomly preaching and giving out gyan without actually having lived it. So I hope that this helps more women out there. I hope that it can bring about a little mindset shift if you've been told any of these lies in the past. Please let me know in the comments if I missed out on something. Of course, my personal experiences are limited and I would love to hear something that you may have heard and a ridiculous lie that you would like to burst in the comments below. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.